You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on this Training Thursday edition of the show, I can let you know that in the coming months, we'll be doing a lot more Toxic Thursday shows and even a few interviews thrown in with the mix as well. Excited about those, but today I want to stay on topic, and it will be an exercise-related show. One that's really important because I know it's the new year, and I know a lot of people out there getting into their fitness-based routine. So the question comes up quite a bit is, if I have lower thyroid, if I have higher cortisol, if I have maybe a lowered metabolic rate because of stress, can I still exercise? So I want to answer that question today because, believe it or not, there are a lot of people out there that are either under or over exercising, and they're not doing it specific based on their current needs. Now remember, there are two ways to look at everything in life. There is what you need right now for what we call our phenotype. That's what our body is present day, what it's become, and then there's what we need for our genotype. And our genotype goes back to our genetics or our dosha from Ayurveda, which is our specific body type. And if you want to know more about body types, you can go way back to episode 900 of the Cabral Concept, and then each week for about, I think like maybe 8 weeks or so, 10 weeks, I did all sorts of shows on body type and how to find out your own body type and use it to your advantage. So because we do all have a uniqueness about us. Now, it's not wild variance, but there certainly are things where some people need more daily exercise, where other people need lighter exercise based on their genotype, such as more of like the Vata body type. But keep in mind that Vata body type, people think, well, I'm a Vata body type, I'll stay thin no matter what. Well, that's not necessarily the case either. There are a lot of people that I've worked with where they put on a substantial amount of belly fat, being a Vata-based body type, and actually lost quite a bit of muscle due to poor nutrition and under-exercise. So what I want to do today, though, is kind of solve that question as to what happens when you've run, let's say, the stress, mood, and metabolism test, also called the thyroid adrenal hormone, where you see, I have lower levels of thyroid. I have higher levels of cortisol or very low levels of cortisol. That means that I shouldn't exercise, or is that the truth or not? So I want to go over that today, and I want to give you a couple other caveats. Besides lower thyroid, besides higher or very low levels of cortisol, what I also want to look at is, what if you're not sleeping very much? Or what if you're fasting for quite a long period of time? That all fits within the same category. Why? Here's the answer why. And I just talked about this yesterday. I really hope that you listen to yesterday's show. Whether you need to lose weight or not, whether you're a health coach or not, there's someone in your life, there's no doubt about it, who needs to lose weight and keep it off, who struggled their whole life. Please go back and listen to that show. And the reason is this: you will be able to give them the answer. All I hope to do with the Cabral Concept podcast is share vital information that is not taught in today's society. We teach quick fixes, oversimplification of really important base lifestyle factors that once they've run their course, people don't know what to do. So I just want to give people another outlet, another place to look. Maybe it connects with you, maybe it doesn't. At least give it a shot, give it a listen, share it with someone else so that they can find their answer, right? That's what it's all about. Never feel the need to purchase anything. Never feel the need to have to do anything except absorb the information, hopefully continue to listen to other podcasts so that you can then see things from multiple angles and begin to say, okay, yes, that makes sense. Okay, I get it now that I learned this. Because again, there are levels to this. It's like peeling away an onion. You learn about the outer level. Okay, let's go deeper. You peel back a layer, peel back a layer. Oh, there are many factors to this, right? That's what it's all about. Okay, so today, let's talk about what happens when you're overstressed, overfasted, lower thyroid, higher cortisol, lower cortisol, not enough sleep, like all of these things. Here's what you want to do. You don't want to dismiss exercise, okay? Because exercise can be one of those great metabolic balancers. It can be one of those great hormonal balancers, and believe it or not, even immune balancers. The only way you mess up with exercise is overdoing or potentially underdoing. Underdoing would be this: not walking your 10,000 steps per day. Humans are meant to be, like they're meant to walk, they're meant to move, they're meant to take action. Any other living creature that works with hunting, gathering, all of those things needs to move its body. If not, it's in a hibernation-based phase. We don't want that for us, right? We don't want that. We want to stay metabolically active. We want to keep using our mitochondria. We want to give our bodies a reason to even promote what's called mitochondrial biogenesis. What does that mean? Well, it's just a fancy name for meaning create more energy powerhouses inside of our cells that allow us to have more energy, that allow us to have more stamina, that allow us to have more vitality for life. But one of the only ways that you get that is to actually move your body. So I know there's a lot of people out there listening right now, and you can't do 10,000 steps per day. You would become exhausted. It would wipe you out. Now, a lot of people listening saying, that's ridiculous, like that's so easy to do. Listen, there are different people in different stages of their life. When I was a teenager, a late teenager, and I got Addison's disease, I couldn't do 10,000 steps per day. I went from doing track and field, basketball, martial arts, all sorts of sports, to not being able to, legitimately not being able to barely get out of bed. Meaning I could get out of bed, but you could not ask me to walk 2 flights of stairs. Because after about 6 to 8 stairs, that's all it took, my heart rate would rapidly rise to about 150 beats per minute. That's part of what it's like to have what's called POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And it's brutal. I mean, it's absolutely debilitating in life. And I wish that on no one, okay? But here's the thing. There are people out there like that. So you have to begin to heal the body. So even if you can't do 10,000 steps per day, I get it. Work with a local integrative health practitioner. Work with Equilibrium Nutrition to run your lab, like your big 5. But figure out what's going on. And then you need to work up to those 10,000 steps per day. I talk about this in the Rain Barrel Effect. I give it to you basically for free inside of that book of how to complete a graduated exercise program, which is how to move your way up from walking and then through the different levels. I talk about that in our Fatlocity system. But what I want to talk about today is this, is that most people, you need to be doing an exercise program. And here's the thing. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be recommending specific exercise programs to people. And there are people out there who are saying, I can't do that exercise program. But you have to understand a couple things, is that you might not be able to do the exercise program in full, right? In full. That goes for, again, pick your favorite exercise program, because I don't even need to give it to you, but I want you to understand is that we need to start somewhere. But let's say you're doing body weight exercises or light dumbbells, okay, light weights. And the exercise program calls for 3 sets, okay? 3 sets of a particular circuit. A circuit might be like 5 exercises in a row and then rest. Or maybe it's a tri-set, 3 exercises in a row and then rest and then repeat, maybe 3 times and then go on to do another 3 exercises in a row. Some of my favorites. So here's the thing though. You may not be able to do that amount of volume, but it doesn't mean that you can't do the workout. So let me just give you an example, because I've given many workouts before in the show. Let's say the workout is a chest press on a stability ball, a dumbbell chest press. Let's just say that's the first exercise. Let's say the second one is a dumbbell squat. Let's say it's a dumbbell front squat. You have the dumbbells in front of your shoulders, you're holding a kettlebell, whatever it might be, and you're doing squats. Okay. The third exercise, let's say, is a dumbbell one-arm row. And then let's say the fourth exercise is a dumbbell Romanian deadlift. You don't have to know what any of these exercises mean. You could just think lunges, dumbbell lunges. That would be fine. And the last one, let's call it a bicycle crunch. Let's just something for your abs. Okay, it could be a plank. You can call it whatever you want. That's the exercise selection is not very important for what I'm giving you right now, although that's a very well-balanced exercise program, and that's why I just stated it in case someone wants to copy it. So here's the thing. We have dumbbells for all of those exercises, all right, except for the last one, which would be a bicycle crunch or a plank, whatever you'd like to use. That will be your own body weight. So here's the thing. That workout calls to do that particular workout, all the exercises in a row, and then rest for a few minutes, and then repeat 2 more times, okay? So that's basically a 5-exercise circuit, it's called, and you want to repeat it 3 total times. That makes sense, right? So it's a circuit, and it's 5 exercises. You break after doing all 5 exercises for anywhere between 90 seconds and 5 minutes, however long it took you to complete that circuit. And then you repeat again. And maybe you increase the weights the second set and third set if the first set was more of a warm-up. That's a pretty standard workout, and that will work really well for most people. Great workout, okay? So again, workouts don't have to be super complicated, but you do want a system, and you do want to coach, and you want to make sure that you're progressing. Okay, so here's then what we have to look at. Some people, they've never worked out before, they go to do that, and they would be so sore the next day. They would be fatigued. They would be exhausted. They'd have flu-like symptoms. There are people out there like that. I work with many of them. Again, it's not necessarily common, but what we need to think about is this. You are looking to get results from your workout program. You want to tone up, I'm using that in air quotes, but tone up your muscles. You want to burn body fat. You want to feel good. You want to look great. Nothing wrong with that. Those are great goals. Here's the problem. You think by doing all 3 sets the first week that you're going to get to your goals faster. And I say, not so fast. You actually won't. You'll create too much inflammation. You will become discouraged, and you will most likely stop that workout within a couple weeks because it's just too much. You say it's not right for me, or there's something wrong with you, when really there isn't. The thing is this. You need to allow for what's called an adaptation phase. So that means over a period of about 3 to 4 months, you will create more mitochondria. Your body will be able to better handle lactic acid created from what's called anaerobic workouts. What does anaerobic mean? It simply means that your body working without oxygen. So it's how do your muscles work when you're working them to failure, not doing steady state endurance-based cardio. That's all. Let's call it weight training, right? Anaerobic-based work or sprinting. So your body will get better. But until it becomes adapted to these exercises, the workout was never bad. So that's where we want to put it. The workout was never bad unless you have some type of injury where you can't do the exercise. But that's a good workout. So what do? Well, the very first week, we want to do this smartly. I can hear my wife in the background correcting me. She is a wizard with English and grammar where I'm not. So I can say adverb. Okay, let's use that. But anyway, let me get back on topic. What we want to say is this. The first week, even maybe if you're a rock star or not, let's start with 1 set. Okay? Let's say you're new to this workout and you don't want to be super sore the next day and you want to feel great. You'll do 1 set of that workout, and maybe it's very lightweight or it's close to body weight. And there's a lot of people out there who would say, yeah, but I'm not maxing out that workout. I'm not getting the most benefits from it. The problem is this. With that mentality, you may create more of a stress-based state in your body. And if your body is under constant stress, if you go back to yesterday's podcast, you will learn that it down-regulates metabolism. What does that mean? The more stress your body is under, the less calories it needs to consume to maintain the same weight. Okay, here's another way of saying it. The more stress your body's under, it down-regulates energy-based production. Poor circulation, cold hands and feet, brain fog, less flexibility, more aches and pains, poor hair growth, drier skin, all the symptoms you might say of, or water retention of low thyroid, right? So here's what we want to look at. Those people under greater stress, longer fasts, estrogen dominance, they've looked at their thyroid levels, again, with a stress, mood, and metabolism-based test. You can do these right at home. It's so crucial. It really is. Like, this next decade will be a decade of taking control of your own health. There's no doubt about it. Most people, not till the end of this decade, but don't be one of those people. Like, don't wait till it's so mainstream that everybody's doing it. Like, you can start now. You don't need your doctor's permission. You can just run a functional medicine at-home lab test. It's easy to do. It's a couple drops of blood or a little saliva or a hair sample. I mean, these things, they couldn't be easier. And you can do them right at home for yourself, your family. That's it. I mean, it's that easy. You get a personalized wellness plan for you, and you get nutrition, simple meal plans, and you get a consultation to actually what your results mean. And these are things that medical doctors are not trained in. They're trained in disease. Our practice doesn't practice as disease. We work on underlying root cause imbalances. We work on, instead of treating, we work on rebalancing. So there's a huge difference. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having a medical doctor. You should have a medical doctor. You should have a medical doctor and an integrative health practitioner. I mean, that's what I believe. Now, the integrative health practitioner might be a local functional medicine doctor, local naturopathic doctor, local chiro that specializes in functional medicine. You name it. Like, whatever works for you, great. But we just have to begin. That's what it's all about. All right. So back to the task at hand. If you find that you are in a higher stress state, lower thyroid, higher cortisol, or very low cortisol, because now you're in more of what's called an exhaustion-based stage. And if you're someone that fasts for a longer period of time, you want to be careful that you don't overdo your workouts. How will you know if you're overdoing? Couple ways, and I want to give that to you now. One, your sleep's going to start to suffer. There's no doubt about that. Actually, you know what I'm going to do too? If you head on over to stephencabral.com/1441, I want to share with you a previous podcast I did on all of the signs of becoming too catabolic. So instead of me giving you a whole new podcast today and just getting really off topic, my goal for 2020 is to keep the podcast at 22 minutes. And again, that's simply to respect your time and understand commute time is typically 25 minutes. So I want to make sure that I can do it for the average commute time. Anyway, let me get back. So I'm going to give that to you. So there are signs of catabolism though, but just think about this. Poor sleep, lower energy, lower libido, lower endurance, losing muscle mass or losing muscle tone, body's starting to look a little softer. All of those signs are catabolism. So what I want to make sure is that we're not over-exercising and under-eating. All right, so here's the thing. If you are doing a fasted workout in the morning, I'm typically okay with that. But for those people who are already in a stress state, that puts you in a greater state of stress. Maybe what we need to do, at least for a period of time, remember, in the beginning of this podcast, I talked about two things, right? Phenotype versus genotype. Where you're currently at versus the long term. The short term, you may need to eat a little bit before your workout, so you're not super stressed. Or just make sure that you're eating after your workout, that you're not fasting for another 2 or 3 hours after you just did a fasted workout. You may need to eat an hour after that workout if you see lower levels of thyroid, if you see higher levels of stress in the body, right? I mean, again, these things are super important to look at it. I can't give you an all for one, but I can give you something in this specific scenario of a person with those signs of lower energy, lower libido, brain fog, poor sleep quality, losing muscle mass, starting to see more of the wrinkles on the skin or thinning of the skin or thinning of the hair, all signs of catabolism. I'll link up the previous show today at stephencabral.com/1441. So what do? We don't stop exercising. What we do is we say, okay, I'm going to do 1 set today. Do I leave that workout with more energy than I came in? If the answer is yes, then fantastic. You're on the right track. You can then try adding weights that next week of 1 set. Or what you can do is keep the weights lighter and do 2 sets that next week. If after you did 2 sets, your body's sore the next day, not too bad, but still sore, that was the right amount of volume for now. So keep it there. In a few weeks, you might be to a point where you're no longer sore from that workout. And you actually feel like you have good energy the next day. You don't feel wiped out. You don't feel exhausted the next day. It doesn't hurt your sleep that night. Okay, then that's good. That means you are adapting to that stimulus. Now what can we do? Well, we can try a 3rd set with those lighter weights because why? We've upped the volume. There are 2 ways to make improvement. I mean, I'm oversimplifying this, but there's 2 ways to make improvement. Add more weight during your workout or more intensity on the muscle or do more volume at the same intensity, right? So that's what we can do. We can add a little bit more weight for 2 sets. I do that for a lot of people over 65. I keep it to 2 sets. So I do a moderate set to warm up, and I do then a more aggressive set, that second set for some people. And that's great. And then for other people, I do 3 sets. And again, it depends on the workout, but I'm just talking about 3 sets today. There are times and places where you do 5 sets of 5 repetitions. But again, we're talking somewhere between 8 and 15 repetitions, typically around 3 sets. So this is a way to progress your workout. Simply put, start with 1 set. No soreness, no fatigue, no exhaustion, no poor sleep that night. Okay, the next week, add a little bit more weight at 1 set, or do 2 sets at the same weight that following week. Little sore the next day, or it hurt your sleep a little bit that night, okay, we've met our amount of stimulus. Take the next day off, recover, you can get back that next day, but not more than that 2 sets or that 1 set, whatever caused the stimulus. Typically, it will be 2 sets. So what we'll do is we'll either go back to the 1 set, feel good for another week, and then that second week, try 2 sets again. How do you feel? Okay, this time, mild discomfort the next day. No issue with sleep that night. Okay, great. Now we're going to stick with the 2 sets because we know that we can adapt to that mild discomfort, and that will allow us what's called a hermetic stressor in the body. So again, I did a previous podcast on hermetic-based stressors. These are stressors that if we don't overdo it, they actually allow our body to get stronger, which is super important. That's part of a graduated exercise program. Again, I teach that in the Rain Barrel Effect. I teach that in the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. I teach that in Fatlocity. I want you to absorb this information. It's so important. All right. But this allows you to understand that exercise is not bad. Under-exercising is bad in the long term. It does not look good for overall mortality. You want to be able to get that body moving. And also, over-exercise is bad in the long term as well. In the short term, it doesn't affect too much. In the long term, it affects a lot. So what I want you to do is find the right amount of exercise for you right now. That's your phenotype. That's who you are today. Now, I'm telling you right now, 3 to 4 months of gradually progressing, your body's going to get stronger. There's no doubt about it. I'm just using myself as an example. My body type is not a robust body type. It's not a hearty body type. I get jealous in a good way, a fun, playful way, but I get jealous when I see people like The Rock and other people be able to train at 4:30 in the morning and go all day. My body would break down too easily. That is part of my genotype. I do not have that as part of my genetic makeup. Now, other people would say, oh, that's not true. You can do this. Listen, there is part of accepting your genotype. Now, can I train hard? Yes. And when I started to train for things like sprint triathlons, which push my body to more of a limit. Now, again, I'm not overdoing it because it's only 80 minutes or so of work for amateurs like me. But what it allowed me to do is create a 16-week protocol. And over 16 weeks, I went from running maybe a mile to running 3 or 4 miles after doing 20, 30 minutes of biking. Like, I graduated my body to that level over 16 weeks. So it enabled me to stay injury-free, not get overly exhausted, still be able to work a more than full-time job, be able to balance that with family time and get enough sleep. So what I'm saying to you is I honestly believe you can accomplish anything in your life. I don't want you to overdo in the short term while underdoing in the long term. We can accomplish way more than we believe in the long term, but probably not as much as we think in the first week or two, okay? So just be smart about it. I want you to engage in an exercise program this year. I want you to make it a part of your life for at least 3 days a week. That's the minimum, all right? It should be more days than not. That's 4. But the minimum is 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or every other day program that you want. And I want you to start to make it a part of your life. I really do. Because the benefits go well beyond body transformation. It goes deep into longevity, deep into overall wellness, deep into overall immune-based balance. So thank you for allowing me to share these thoughts with you today. If they were helpful, please do feel free to share them with anyone you believe they could serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.